Hello and welcome to Her Everything. I'm your host, Kirsten Truman, and honestly, I'm so glad to have you here. This podcast has been living in my mind for a while now, and today I just finally decided to take the leap and press record. So, the reason why I started this podcast is basically just to have a space where we can speak about mental health, fashion and beauty, men, and just getting your mindset right. That is going to be our main discussion topics on this podcast moving forward. Today, however, this is just a little introductory episode to me, where I'm currently at in my life. Um, the area of my life I'm currently finding myself in, what I refuse to compromise on, what I'm no longer settling for, and what you can expect on this podcast moving forward. So, getting straight into this, guys, please excuse my socks, they are not matching. Tayo sa utang fan mo. Anyways, so as many of you may know, I grew up on in Mitchell's Plain, which is an area on the Cape Flats, specifically Colorado Park. A lot of people don't even like to classify Colorado Park as part of Mitchell's Plain. However, it definitely is part of the Cape Flats. Um, Growing up on the Cape Flats has definitely influenced me in a lot of more ways than some people would like to imagine. I'm very street smart at this point in time. I don't think anyone can try to finesse me, or sometimes we allow men to finesse us, but also by choice. And sometimes we just let people do what they want to do, because at the end of the day, people are always going to do what they want to do. Off topic, heeltemal at a young growing up on the Cape Flats at a young age, you are exposed to lots of drug abuse and alcoholism. I can mainly speak on the alcoholism because that does run in my family. So I know for the fact there's just a fine line between actually having fun and fucking up your life in layman's terms. So yeah, obviously my parents has tried their best to protect my sister and I. Also, on another note, I have an older sister. Her name is Andrea. Some of you may know my sister. Um, yeah, so definitely as we grew up, you eventually decide to make a conscious decision. There's only so much that your parents or your family can do to protect you from. Once you get to high school, you do start making conscious decisions to either A, follow the narrow path, or B, just take the road most traveled. Unfortunately for me, I decided to take the road most traveled, which led me into a very dark space in my life. I have a history of partying, drinking, drug abuse, chilling with gangsters, thinking it's cool to do all of these things. But honestly, like now, when I look back at my life, it's like, wow, wasted so much good years, wasted so much money, wasted so many people's time, lost so many good friends simply because of my bad habits and not being able to actually see that this that I'm doing, obviously, like your parents have these conversations with you, what you're doing now is going to get you nowhere in life. There's always going to be the next party and the next high. But at that point in time, you also so dwas or so like, oh no, I know better, it's my life. Um, and you don't even pay attention to any of those things, even though your parents are far as years older than you, you don't even care because it's now me and my friends against the world. And that is where I found myself for a large portion of my life. However, I would say for the past 2 to 3 years, I've definitely changed and evolved and constantly evolving, constantly growing, constantly trying to do better and just wanting better for myself. Now, with that also being said, if you were to ask people or my close friends how they would describe me, I would think that my friends would describe me as funny, caring, and crazy. When we try to make everybody happy and laugh and feel included. And I think that also comes from me not feeling included a lot of the time, not being chosen a lot of the time, whether that is in a romantic sense or in a friendship sense. I think at the end of the day, as humans, it's only human nature to want to feel included and want to feel accepted. So we also go to crazy extents, whether that even makes us change some of our characteristics. You even end up losing yourself simply because you want to be accepted by the greater crowd and by your friends, basically. But those people are not your people. I will tell you that for free. When if you have to adjust who you are, change the way you look, change the way you talk, change the way you walk, lie about small irrelevant things, those people are not for you, and the sooner you realize that, the better. One or two misconceptions I would say people have about me is that I'm still a party girl. Yes, I was always the fun friend. However, right now I am simply focusing on myself and how to level up my life. And then another thing I would say that people have me fucked up about is that I am a very reactive person. In the past, I wouldn't let things slide. I needed to know why you acting like this. What did I do? Or even if you're gonna tell me now, I'm not gonna hear you. I'll be listening, but trust me, I'm not hearing you, and I would just immediately react. So I've changed in that aspect as to where now I give people the time of day to explain themselves. However, if your thought process is not lined up with my thought process, okay, cool. I'm actively choosing to not react to you, because a lot of the times people are just sent to test your patience, test your will, and to test your faith on this earth. So I'm done being reactive, and I'm also done being classified as this party girl. Currently focusing on my personal growth, prioritizing me, and prioritizing the people that do prioritize me as well. Okay, let me give this airplane a chance to fly. Yeah, focusing on people that focus on me. No friend drama, no men drama, no work drama. Honestly, just working on myself by myself, trying to be 1% better every single day, which literally brings me right back to the main reason why I started this podcast. Um, Basically, trusting myself. I would say trusting myself to an extent where if you promise, like I've always made these promises to myself, like, okay, I'm gonna do this today, I'm gonna do that tomorrow, and then at the end of the day I just never start anything. So it's the wind is picking up. So I needed to do this for myself, just to basically prove to myself that, look here, you can do it, man. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. Do it. There's people that's way less talented than all of us doing the things because simply because they work hard. Genuinely, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. That is not even a joke. So I've come to realize later in my life that I lacked a lot of boundaries and standards. And need I say that I am still actively working on increasing my boundaries and my standards daily, whether that's with my romantic partnerships or with my non-romantic partnerships or with my family and friends. I refuse to settle for bare minimum friendships now as well. So settling in friendships, I feel like settling in a friendship can look like you basically get invited last or like late invitation, but you still go. Another area that I refuse to settle in, and this was from a very early age in my life. I don't know where I developed this habit. Also, could be part of my ADHD. Um, a career. If this job is no longer serving me, or I feel undervalued or underappreciated, or there's just too much friction in the workplace, I personally hate conflict. Um, hate conflict. Genuinely, I cry all the time. I'm a very intense person, so I can't handle confrontation because I will slap you. That's me. You see, that is me being reactive. That is the past coming through, baby. No. I think the topic of settling can also take us to the topic of on compromising. So a few things that I now no longer compromise on is my peace and my freedom. When I say that, I mean if something is no longer for me, I leave. I'm very, very big on leaving, and I promote that to all my friends. Leave. If a situation is no longer serving you, leave. Compromising in romantic relationships have left me personally emotionally neglected. Um, and doing too much for somebody who a lot of the time people don't even appreciate what you're doing for them at that point in time, until it's no longer there. Like, genuinely, what is this quote that says, salt isn't on the menu, but when it's not in the food, you notice something like that. So for me, that happens a lot in a romantic relationship. Um, you compromise to a fault, to where you to a detriment, to your own detriment, basically. So compromising in emotion in romantic relationships just tend to leave you as a person emotionally neglected and depleted at the end of the day. Some people are genuinely just want to be around you to drain your energy. Genuinely speaking. In essence, her everything is just for the woman who's trying to be 1% better every day, trying to level up, not afraid to speak about their experiences, also learning to accept where you're coming from and knowing where you're going. I think that is very important. Knowing that your past doesn't define you, you're not defined by your mistakes, but rather where you're heading and where you want to see yourself in the next few years. I think that is the space I'm trying to create. You are not defined by your past, you are not your mistakes, and that you're still gonna meet hundreds of other people. Your best days are most likely still ahead of you. Yeah, also for the woman who is maybe realizing only now, no one's coming to save you, my darling. You need to get up and you need to take your potential to the next level. You need to learn how to potential max. I've been seeing a lot of something maxing, this maxing, that maxing. So right now for me, I am potential maxing, and yeah, I really hope that everything goes well. I have great faith in myself, so I do believe that this will be amazing. As mentioned, today was simply just about getting to know me. Moving forward, I will try to obviously feature some of my friends, and yeah, just to get unsolicited, just to continue with the unsolicited advice from people that nobody cares about, but I genuinely care for myself. So it's a win. It's a win. And I'm so proud of myself for actually recording this and doing this. And hopefully I post this. Because, yeah. Thank you. Bye.